Hi, I'm Dom Chandler. I'm making a home drum room or home studio. It's a DIY affair. I have a little bit of construction experience, so I'm making these video diaries so that other people who have the same kind of experience or even less or more can realise that they can do the same, and it doesn't have to cost a fortune to do. I am on a very tight budget, so everything I do has had to be costed and is all going to be as cheap as possible, and we'll see what kind of effect we get. So first of all, I've already done 2 days work. The first day was just really clearing the garage and painting the floor and coming up with plans, so there's not much to report there. Day 2 I'm going to talk you through now. Obviously this is to say I'm kind of making this up as I go along, so you know, if you've got any questions I'll try and answer them as best as possible. I think I'm probably going to end up posting this on YouTube because I think it'll be helpful for drummers or other musicians that want to try and do their own similar thing. It's always good to get ideas, so you know, I'm not going to come around and build it for you, but you know, it might help do your own garage. So basically let's show you the garage. So this is the access road at the back of my house. I've got a gate here. This is the garage door, which is obviously up at the moment, and this is my garage. There is a bit of stud work which I've already put up in here at the moment. If I explain what I'm doing, I'm actually separating the garage out between storage area and studio, because there's no point making a nice drum room and then I have to keep lawnmowers and bikes and all other manner of things in it. So the garage in total is probably about 20, I would imagine it's probably about 20 foot deep, so that's from front to back or back to front as we're looking, and it's about 12.5 feet wide. So the storage area is going to be probably about 7 feet from there to there. I'm going to put a door in here so I can get to it without opening the garage door, which, as you can see, is very rickety. And once that door is in there, I'm going to seal the garage door up. The reason I'm not going to brick across the back is because, 1, it costs money, and 2, I still want people to know that there's a garage here so they don't block it or park across it. So basically, as I explained, day 1, I painted the floor, and I've painted the floor in the area where the studio is going to be, and it's just a roofing paint which is waterproof that my dad, who is a builder, had some left over from a job, so he just let me have it basically. And I've just gone up the wall a couple of inches all round, just to stop any, you know, just to try and hold back any damp. Although the cell itself that I'm building is going to be not connected to the garage in any way whatsoever, except through the floor, just to hold everything steady. So the rest of it doesn't really matter too much. So day 1 was doing that, and you can see there's a lot of holes in the garage because it is an older brick built garage with a felt roof. I sealed a lot of those in with expanding foam and some mortar and cement and sand and cement, which is what I had left over, and it was already in the garage. So that the expanding foam, which to be honest I didn't think that was that good, cost me about £5 a can, and one side, really 2 cans just down one side, so it wasn't that much of a bargain. I also managed to do some of the air bricks that are in here as well. And this actual part doesn't have to be soundproof, because the inner cell is going to be the soundproof part. But I'm sealing this up just to stop any, you know, birds nesting or wasps, hopefully wasps nest and stuff like that, because obviously once the cell's up, I'm going to have very limited access to getting to the ceiling of it and to the walls. So the cell itself, you can see I've started putting stud work up here. From the front to the back is going to be about 12 foot along that way. The width of the garage less a certain amount, because I want an air pocket all the way around it. So from there to there is about 12.5 feet roughly. I'm going to be switching, well, I'm going to be talking in inches and millimeters. 1, because I'm used to inches, feet and inches, and 2, because a lot of the material now comes in millimeters, so I'm kind of switch between the two. But basically, for your reference, off the top of my head, 100 millimeters is about 4 inches. So if you want to convert, if you want to use that as a conversion, it'll be roughly about right. So the walls of the garage, I haven't gone right to the edges of the garage because we have these brick piers here that stick out, and I need air down the side of them. So the actual stud work is the ceiling plates, which are, you can see it wobbling there, are actually freestanding, and the floor plates are from 4x2 timber. The upward or the vertical stud struts. This is just the outer at the moment. It's actually 63 mil, which is an odd measurement, but that's because they're measured in millimetres. You can see there, well, you probably can't see there. It's actually 38 millimetres by 63 millimetres. I think off the top of my head that would be about 2 3/4 inches, something like that. Now you can see that when you usually put stud work up, the stud actually goes across the whole of the plate. This doesn't. The reason I've done that, I'm hoping will be very clever, is I'm going to stagger the studs. So this will be the outer wall, that will be clad in MDF. The inner wall will be staggered like this. And the reason for that is I'm going to fill it with insulation which will weave between the inner and the outer stud. And hopefully, because the inner MDF will not be connected to the stud which holds the outer MDF, when the inner wall vibrates, it shouldn't be able to go through the stud and to the outer wall. All it will do is, be on its own suspended stud, and therefore just vibrate into the insulation. This is not tested. This is something that I kind of thought of. I'm sure it's probably been done somewhere before. In essence, this is just Camden walling, just a slightly different way of doing it. I'm hoping it's going to work. The neighbours will let me know if it doesn't, I'm sure. So basically, the second day we started putting the stud work up. The back wall is completed, pretty well, the outer section of it, and the side wall outer section is completed. I have to get more wood. So that's pretty much it for day 2. So day 3 is going to be finishing the entire stud, which will be across the front, putting in the door frame, because I'm going to have 2 doors. I'm going to have the outer door, which is already there, and an inner door, which is going to be like a fire door or something pretty hefty, and then I'm just going to build it up and add to it, put insulation in it and whatnot. And then obviously I've got to complete that stud along there. Then after I've done that, we'll be putting MDF on the outer skin of it, and the way that's going to be done is it's going to be slid in behind all the way along. This, I'll have to get rid of all of this junk before, so that we can get the MDF between the wall, and there still should be, even once we put the MDF in, there still should be a little gap between that and the outside of the building, so we shouldn't get any sound transference. If there is a leak, it should just go into the air between the brick and the stud of the studio. There's the insulation which I'm going to be using. One tip which I think is a good tip is keep your eyes open for bargains in DIY places, B&Q, Wicks, Homebase, that kind of place. The insulation I've got there is 12.5 metres long, and I got it for £5 a roll because the Homebase was actually closing down. So it's worth keeping your eyes open. If you know what you're doing, roughly what you're going to be needing, you can always pick bargains up when people are getting rid of it. That's pretty much it. There's not much more to say about the second day. I'm going to be doing a video diary in days. They're actually going to be eight hours, so it might be 2 hours each night for 4 days, but I'm just going to count that 8-hour segment as a day because it's roughly a working day. Otherwise you'll have about 40 video diaries, and I'm sure they get pretty tedious after a while, so 8-hour segments I think will work quite well. If you've got any questions, please ask me. I'm going to probably post this on YouTube, just like I said earlier, to try and help people out if they're thinking of doing their own studio or soundproof room or office or whatever it might be. I'm making this up as I go along pretty much. I've got very limited experience, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of mistakes that I make, so maybe that will save you from making the same ones. And if you've got any questions, ask me and I'll try and explain as best as I can. Other than that, I'll see you all on day 3. Thank you very much. Bye.